AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Love to profile people on this program that are making a difference in the community. Love to profile ways that people in the community can get involved in fantastic organizations. One of those amazing people and one of those amazing organizations is my next guest. Tahil Sharma is the regional coordinator for North America at the United Religions Initiative. And Tahil and I met, I'm thinking 2.5 years ago at several conferences, several gatherings where we share a passion for interfaith activism. And Tahil, you are based in Los Angeles, but your impact is felt nationally. It's such a pleasure to have you on the program.
The pleasure's all mine, Shalom. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So Tahil, I love to get to know the people behind the microphone. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I am a native SoCal born and raised guy. Was born to a dual religious family. My father's side of the family is Hindu. Mother's side of the family is Sikh. And I got into interfaith activism in 2012 after a Sikh temple or Gurdwara in Oak Creek, Wisconsin was attacked by a white supremacist. It gave me the courage and the necessary energy to remember that to push back against oppression and white supremacy in particular, I needed to promote solidarity and cooperation between communities of faith and moral conscience. And that's been my passion for the past 7.5 years now.
It's incredible. And to be totally candid with our listeners, Tahil and I actually talked about having him as a guest on the show already a little while ago. But I have to say that, it's actually unfortunate that the situation of the day is that in obviously this pandemic, this crisis that we are in right now, communities of many ethnic groups, many religions are being faced with anti-Semitism, racial and xenophobia. And Tahil, I know that is something that you have dedicated your career to combating. So I'd love to talk about the work that URI is doing, especially right now in the midst of coronavirus.
Absolutely. So the United Religions Initiative is one of the largest interfaith networks in the world. It has over 1,050 cooperation circles, which are our member organizations in 108 countries. And I wish I could give you one way of doing this kind of work during a pandemic, but the fact of the matter is this map or tapestry of beautiful organizations is doing so many different things on the ground. Currently in India, there are a number of cooperation circles that are serving communities in need because of the lockdown. And that's being heightened actually as of right now because of the Category 5 super cyclone that is hitting the east side of the country where Bengal and Bangladesh is. So heightened concerns, but heightened needs for action are being looked at over there. Meanwhile, here in North America, where we have about 90 cooperation circles functioning, there isn't one way of doing interfaith work, and that's becoming so clear. There are organizations that are providing food pantries, providing showers, providing online spaces for digital worship and conversation, you name it, and it's being done. And that's kind of the beauty and the power of when people across difference can come together and create these resources and opportunities for everyone.
That's incredible. And Tahil, you just dropped a couple of different terms that I want to demystify. You just talked about cooperation circles, which to me means that you don't need to be a massive funder, although I'm sure massive funders are always welcome and appreciated, but you don't need to be a massive funder in order to make a difference, whether it's here in North America or anywhere around the world. So let's talk about the call to action for those that might be listening to the program and are concerned about the plethora of issues, frankly, facing people, whether it's in the midst of COVID-19 or whether it's due to hunger or in any part of the world or many, many, many other issues. What is a cooperation circle and what can the regular Joe or Jane do that might be listening to this program to make a difference?
The first thing any regular Jane or Joe should be doing right now is not losing hope. Right now, in the midst of so many things going on, it is for some unparalleled and unprecedented, but it's a very deep reminder of how history does have a tendency of repeating itself. And we have an opportunity to change that narrative and that outcome if we continue to be the hope that we wish to see in the world and be the bridge that can connect communities with one another. When trying to create something like a cooperation circle is all about being people-minded and people-powered. It is not about trying to do things that are unrealistic and grandiose. It's about seeing what the needs are immediately in your community and acting quickly upon it with the resources you have. It's about thinking about your circles of influence. It's about thinking about the web of network that you have at your disposal and making sure you see that common thread of concern, experience, and values that can bring communities together to do this work.
It's fascinating. And one of the areas that brought you and I together as I mentioned, through some of these gatherings, have been the interfaith and intercultural dialogue. And I know that is a big part of how people can get involved in talking about some of the real issues and addressing some of those real issues. So tell us a little bit about some of the examples. You are privileged, I know, you're in an amazing spot to be able to watch amazing people doing great things around the country and help facilitate some of those conversations. Tell us a little bit about some of those success stories.
Some of the success stories, honestly, have so much more to do with seeing the needs of the moment rather than really dedicating ourselves to the larger baggage or nuance that might be in our past. For a lot of communities that seem to see this overlap between the pandemic and racism, for example, it's becoming very clear that young people in particular want to address the concerns of the disproportionate impact of things like this pandemic on people of color. So there's a cooperation circle called Camp Anytown in Las Vegas that is hoping to start up conversations during and post-COVID-19 about being able to bring people together and have real conversations about the impact that stuff like this pandemic is having, but that is telling of a larger history of disproportionate impact on so many different issues towards people of color. There are organizations like the Interfaith Initiative of Santa Barbara County that were doing this program called Shower of Blessings, which would give hot showers to folks that were homeless. Because of the lockdown situation, many spaces that were houses of worship were not allowed to function based on the stay-at-home orders. And although the organization thought it would stop functioning, the city of Santa Barbara then stepped in to start supporting them, and they're now doing even more work than they were before the pandemic even started. And this is so telling of the kinds of solutions and developments and strategies that can come out of these physical limitations. Right now is such an important time for incubation. We really need to think about the ways that we've been doing stuff wrong as a government, as a nation, in our communities individually, and individually as our own selves. This is a big time to really think about the ways we can create a newer, better future rather than going back to the status quo.
Excellent. And we are quickly running out of time. But one of the things that I found fascinating about the United Religions Initiative, and again, I'm talking with Tahil Sharma, who coordinates many of those efforts around the country, is there is a resource library on the URI website, which I find absolutely incredible. And the URI is involved in many important initiatives, including the environment, including, as we said, interfaith and peace efforts. Tell us a little bit about the resource library, how people can get involved, and where they can contact you, Tahil.
Definitely. So if anyone can visit URI.org or URINorthAmerica.org specifically for our region, you'll be able to find the grand list of all of the cooperation circles that are involved with us. You'll be able to find the stories of these organizations and the work that they're doing. And you'll also see a special page on the coronavirus on our international website to really see what organizations are working on now and the information that we're able to share in the midst of a lot of difficulty, bringing hope, bringing ideas, and bringing skills to a much needed space. And to be able to contact me, you can find me on all sorts of social media through the handle Interfaith Man. You can find me on Facebook through my name, and you can email me at tsharma, tsharma @uri.org.
Well, Tahil, I appreciate everything that you're doing. And right now is the time that people need to come together. And I know that you have been an amazing organizer of those efforts. It's such an honor to have you on the program. And I look forward to hopefully sharing good news with our listeners. Tahil Sharma from the URI. Thanks for joining me on the air.
In just this past week,